Do yours? Mine.
No, his is much cooler. Yours is much cooler, there, Brad.
They look like they have the ring. You could have just said, "I'm not turning the colors on."
No, yeah, exactly.
That's the only way I could tell if it's not plugged in, because every now and then I'll unplug them. Like I tried to play a video when we were streaming in the last panel, and they're like, "Brad, we can't hear the sound." Like, oh yeah, because it's in my headphone. Right, but it won't light up. Obviously, there's no power if it's man. Okay, how is everyone's morning? How are hangouts, Mark? Tell me you've had the time of your life.
Oh, it's been fantastic. Yeah, it's been amazing. Just meeting folks, finding out what fans are into, just having a chat. Like, it's just been lovely. I
love it.
I love this way of spending like a Saturday afternoon just shooting the breeze.
That's awesome. Erik, how about you?
Same. Yeah, it's been great to see a lot of the regulars,
yes!
A lot of new people, and just I'm excited we get to have this to kind of fill that community void that we miss from the conventions.
Yes,
after, being absent from there for so long.
So do you have anything booked coming up, Erik? Can we see you live anywhere coming up?
I should be able to talk about it soon, but I believe there is going to be something coming up really soon in August that I'll be.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm going to
if everything goes well.
I will drop, let me pull you up on Twitter. I'm going to drop a link to Erik's Twitter in the chat. And then all of you go give Erik a follow so you can.
Oh, there's the comments. I was in private chat the whole time.
Finally, you're like, oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. That was too. Hey, there it is.
Yes. Okay. So yes, there's all the comments. Everyone go meet Erik. And I think I intentionally scheduled Mark for something really close to the panel so that I could kick Mark out and we could talk Kuroko's basketball.
Oh,
thanks a lot.
It was totally selfish. It was actually no, Mark. Didn't you? You're in there, so we can actually do it all together. I don't even have to.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know that I'll just be sidelined I'll be benched.
Oh no.
Really talk about. By the way, I even gave Erik a follow. I don't know why I wasn't following.
Yes.
You. Oh, yes. Follow Erik.
Give Erik a follow. I love it.
I'm trying to be better about social media. I'm trying so
you
hard.
And me both, man. You and me both.
Oh man. Okay, Mark. We'll start with you. What's on your wall?
What? Where? Oh, this is my ever developing art wall. Also, the room I'm in is kind of my modular room next to my booth. I have a lot of fun art. I'm going to take you on a little field trip.
Yeah. Please do.
There's a cat.
Obligatory cat picture.
Obligatory cat. His name is Ashi, and if you are familiar with Studio Ghibli films, it is indeed from Prince Ashitaka from Princess Mononoke.
That's dope.
And his brother is Haku. He's in the other room, but
wow, you leaned in.
Spirited Away.
You leaned into that.
See, this is my little art wall here so far. I'm a Star Wars fan, so I have like fun Star Wars posters and artwork. I really love Metroid, so I've got a Samus.
Yes.
There. I also do musicals, and I made a D&D web series once, so I've got those things in there.
Oh my gosh!
And then my poster from home, which was a present from the creative team there from my time doing that show.
That's awesome.
And then my friend Jacob McAllister. Oh my God, why can't I not? Do you ever like try to use a camera and then it just starts tilting the wrong direction? Because that's what's happening to me right now.
If you don't tighten up all the angles on the tripod, absolutely. I have dropped. We do Pop Shop Live, which is like the home shopping network for 2021. It like came out of the pandemic and was such a cool like way to feel like you're at a convention. And I'll like put the phone back on it. But like it won't be tightened this one way, and then it will just,
flop over.
Yeah.
But the other guy I want to plug, Jacob McAllister. He does beautiful artwork. Which great. There's my light that's right in the middle of it.
You're like, no, the fail. That's cool.
Artwork. Like there's a Boba Fett rendering, like a little like
the Deer Trooper. Yeah, I love that.
Thing. And he does these little beautiful pieces up there. Which oh my God, Mark, tilt the camera right. If you can see those beautiful shots up there, That is just a small taste of the artwork that this man does.
Very cool.
Does a really cool thing. He does a lot of designs for theme parks. I met him down in Florida. Yeah. So, and he just made a card game, kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but it's called Oh the Horror, and it's a cool card game about like just horror and how to die in a fantastic and ridiculously funny way with your friends. And so that's a fun card game. He did all the artwork for that. Brilliant guy. Definitely go check him out. I love artwork. I love fan artwork. Actually, that's from my friend Samantha Butterfield right there. She did that little art of Seteth and Flame.
Very cool.
And I've got another one up here that is hanging up there of Seteth and Flame, which I love. I love fan art. I love art. So
very cool.
If I had a superpower, it would be drawing.
It would be drawing. Okay. And there's a lot of drawing characters in anime. There's a fairy tale character that's his magical ability is, he can draw things and they come to life. Erik, tell us the state of pro wrestling.
Oh, yes. Well, Pro Wrestling is coming back on July 30th. And we are going to be at the old Burbank Moose Lodge.
Yes.
And as of that moment, hold on.
Please.
He needs to come out for a quick second to Sassy Assassin.
Oh, yes.
As of July 30th, will be your Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion for 666 days and running.
That's awesome. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so it is WrestlingProWrestling.com, right?
It is twitch.tv/ I believe Wrestling Pro Wrestling or Wrestling PW.
So you're saying that this is not you?
Oh well, yes. That's us. That's us.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, twice the fun, twice the wrestling, twice the fun because it's twice the wrestling.
Oh my gosh, I love this so hard.
It scans.
Yes.
Go watch Erik.
Do you wrestle, Erik?
I wrestle. Yes.
How did you start that? What? I need answers.
I know, right? Give us the details.
I mean, long story short, back in the time that I started, I was just coming out of a really bad breakup, and most people, when you do a bad breakup, you ruin your body with ice cream, you ruin your body with like junk food. I decided I wanted to ruin my body in the ring, so
I wanted other people to ruin your body.
Other people to ruin my body for me.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
That's a story I stick with.
That makes sense.
But in all honesty, I've always loved wrestling as a kid. I always considered it a form of theater and stunt show and choreography all together. And I did a little bit of stage fighting when I was in college, just some sword fighting and some falls and stuff like that. And then sure enough, when I was looking, I decided, I kind of want to take some time to train just to see how it is, take a quick course. And Brian Kendrick, who you may know on 205 Live on WWE, he was longtime tag team champion with Paul London. He was running a course down in Southern California and started taking that, fell in love, and been doing that ever since.
Class. So you learned the moves from.
I learned how to do arm drags, hip tosses, body slams, take a bump. I learned how to do flips off the top rope and just.
That's freaking awesome. Here's another question I actually have, if I may.
Sure.
Please. I love this so much. Go.
This is fascinating. Is there, in addition to learning all of the techniques, are there courses that talk about how to then interplay between you and your opponent, and or courses then that tend more towards the theatrical of how to construct storylines and how to are there courses like that? Because
there are little
world.
There are little workshops you can take, little character workshops you can take, and also the thing is that a lot of the times you're kind of subject to the booker of the promotion. You're working on many different arenas. So I work for WPW, but I could go work for Hood Slam up in Northern California. And my storyline up there would be completely different than my storyline down here because they're two different bookers and they have a different idea of how they want the overall story to feel, like who loses when. And
awesome.
there's an art to it that I haven't learned about pacing a show on, like how you want the first match to go and the second match to go, and like how you want to send the audience to go home feeling.
Right.
But we do have an idea of how to tell the story in the ring through a basic formula called the 7 steps of ring psychology. You know, you got to establish the good guy and bad guy.
Wait, what?
The 7 steps of ring psychology.
I feel like that should be right next to like Eat, Pray, Love, or no, I mean like, you know, like some sort of Buddhist tome as well, and then the steps of ring psychology.
But no, it's all basic stuff that you get through like any kind of storytelling. Like even the hero's journey is just establishing the good guy and bad guy, just exposition. Give the good guy some shine so we know to cheer him and that he's good. Then get the bad guy a really cheap cutoff, give him some heat, give the good guy a comeback, some false finishes, and then go home.
I love it. I love it.
It's just that easy, folks. Everyone go out and wrestle.
Don't do this at home. Do it at your friend's house.
Yes, do it at your friend's house. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, since you're both in it, and I hadn't watched season.
What are we both?
Kuroko's basketball.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the panel. What the panel's about?
Oh no. This
no. Let's talk about basketball.
I see a bunch of regulars in chat, and so I'm really gonna lean into. Oh yes, he has a figure.
Special eyes.
Oh my gosh,
nice.
I love it so much. So if anybody's new in chat, Hero Core Ainsley, I'm glad I got to moderate Ainsley this morning. You saw from the first panel, this is just going to be me hanging out with some really cool folks, asking all the questions that really I want to know. And in this panel, Mark asks all the questions he wants to know.
Yeah, I'm taking over.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of people having a good time, having fun. And then definitely, if you want to hang out with Erik and Mark, you guys, gals and non-gender pals know the deal. Pages stay open till like 11 p.m. Pacific. Book whatever, and then we'll ping them later in the week and find a good time to meet. Okay, Erik, I love your character so hard. I think he's probably the best of the Generation of Miracles. Like, he's such a lovable douchebag. He almost doesn't survive season 1 as a douche. Like, he's already like shown us that he's just like too cool. He's too nice. Like, did you like tell me about your experience with him? Tell me you love that anime. What was
I absolutely love this anime because it gives me a little bit of vibes from this old movie I remember renting when I was, this is aging me, working at Blockbuster.
Yes.
It was, I think, Shaolin Soccer or something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
That's so good.
Yes.
Oh, that movie's so good.
That movie is really good. So it gave me real big vibes of that, just basketball. You know, very much Dragon Ball Z, Naruto.
Yes.
Like, I've got the freaking Kakashi Sharingan.
Yep.
I can copy your moves perfectly, kind of thing.
Yep.
So I had a blast with that going in, and I gotta admit, I'm not a huge basketball fan. It's hard to be coming from Seattle. Like, still bitter taste of losing.
Still some hurt. I know the Supersonics. They left a giant hole
big
size
hole in our heart.
Yes.
We haven't gotten over that. But yeah, no. When I got into this, I really loved my character. I loved the whole kind of like, oh, I'm too good at everything I do, but then suddenly like getting his. I tend to get that a lot. A character who's smarmy but gets a really big comeuppance. Like, I get that. I don't know what that says about me.
It's such a he's redeemed so quickly.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of character development through season 2. He had to go through as well. Yeah, but you can remember where we left off on that.
Well, you really can tell how much he cares for Kuroko. Like, you know, they really try to go hard at the rivalry in season 1, but man, it's very quickly that he kind of plays his hand and has a real big soft spot for Kuroko, and I thought, man, just really cool.
Not the same I can say about Koi Dao. No, just kidding.
Oh,
Koi who plays Kuroko is also our director. He also directs. So
yeah.
He and I just have the most fun banter about just all of the stupid crap in the booth. I remember all the like. Actually, I can't even say some of the stuff that we've been doing.
Yeah, but no, it's always a good time with Koi.
Yeah,
I'll attest to that. When I was doing it, though, actually, Koi wasn't directed. I think Koi wasn't able to make it for my sessions, at least. So I was being directed by Jalen, also an absolute pleasure to work with.
Yes,
but I loves me some Koi, and I can only imagine the conversations y'all were having. That's its own anime.
Yeah, actually. Anyone want to fund that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Mark, how did you find your way to Kuroko? Is that an audition thing? Did they call you and say, "I really need you for this"? How did you find your way to?
That
Kuroko?
was a call me, actually. It wasn't an audition thing. So sometimes we audition, and sometimes we're lucky enough to just be trusted with a role when it comes up, and a lot of times that's, it might be a smaller player or incidentals or things that we need, and it's always nice to kind of come onto a project and be trusted with that and be part of the team. I didn't have as much, unfortunately, I don't have as much familiarity with it, but like that's when someone like Jalen or Koi steps in and really
and say,
able
like,
to build that world.
Yeah.
Exactly, and keep it all together. So I had a good understanding of how I fit and how my team fit into the storyline and kind of like what our function was. But I had not. I'm sorry to say, I haven't actually watched it, so I can't speak to the plot points. But I'll
was
sit
that
here
was that tough to watch? It had slipped my mind until you reminded me, and you're like, "Yo, Brad, I'm on the jerk team. I'm on the physical team, the bully team." And I was like, "Oh, no wonder I didn't look that up." Was that tough to see? Like, they're really like, it was a hard. I can't remember if that was one episode or two episodes, that game, but was that tough, Mark, to? Or did you really enjoy like just getting there and being kind of gross and dirty? How often
do you get to do that without repercussions?
Probably not very often.
Not very often. That's why I act.
Yeah.
You get to do a lot of things that and you get to kind of channel a lot of those feelings and do it within the safety of a sculpted out story, but also like kind of honor those things that bubble up from within inside and kind of tap into that. It is fun. Right, we don't like the team all the time, and we don't like some of those characteristics, but it's not to say that any person doesn't feel that way as well. And having the opportunity to then jump in and be like, oh, it's like cathartic almost.
Yeah.
To blow off the steam with characters like that.
Did you play any basketball growing up?
I did for like 2 weeks until it was very apparent that basketball was not for me. I'm like 5'6".
Okay.
And very pushable. Basketball was. I was on the team for like a hot second. I think I played one game, but I was much better at soccer.
Okay. I absolutely love. I'm one of the guys. I kind of miss the old NBA. The old NBA was a lot like watching that arc in Kuroko. It was very physical, a lot of pushing, and I'm 6 feet, which is taller than average, but in the basketball world is very small to only be. And so I find that when I would play rough, like the team that you were on, Mark, like guys my size would get offended because they're all point guard side. Point guard, they're the finesse guys. They take their shot. They don't want to be pushed around. So I would go play small forward and just really shove around with guys that were 50, 60, 70, 100 pounds bigger than I was, because those guys wouldn't get offended.
Because they wouldn't get offended.
They don't get offended. Like if I shove somebody my size, they're like, "Bro, what is your problem?" And I'm like, I'm
Right.
going to dominate. Like, I want to crush you. I want to back you down, do a turnaround in your eyeball, and then stare at you as I back it. Like, but guys that have 60 pounds on me, like, they don't get offended if you. So I always, yeah. Anyway, I love Erik, Mark, the Hashira are so. As I reflected upon the Hashira and the Demon Slayer Corp in general, I almost feel like there's an undercurrent of representation going on, and you all tell me if I'm just reading far too much into it, but it feels like there's the average citizen, and then there's the Demon Slayer Corps, and as you look at them, man, they're weird. A lot of them have scars. They're mismatched. I mean, just look at your background. You can tell straight up you have two different color eyes. I feel like there's a story being told about representation in Demon Slayer in which we're being pitched that different is okay, and that different can even be spectacular, and almost that the more different you are, the more you have to add to the world that you live in. You guys tell me if I just went way into the deep end of the pool, or if you see some of that same stuff.
I have thoughts, but Erik, take it away.
and apologies if it. I mean, what are we? We're like 1:52 Pacific. We're all awake. But if you guys tell me if I just
No,
went.
baby, I'm ready to take this deep dive. Let's do
it. I definitely think there's. I mean, how many here have you guys seen the movie?
Yes. Oh, well, I already told them all in the last panel. Like, we're going all the way in. So spoil whatever you want to.
Okay. So I saw the movie. That was my first time in a theater with my girlfriend since the whole pandemic. And hey, John, she actually picked out a lot of key symbolism that I couldn't even catch, and a lot of stuff about Jungian psychology. And the shadow self, how they were delving into the space between. And a lot of Buddhist symbology she picked up on as well. So I think that there is a tenet of that, of acceptance in there. A lot of the Buddhist tenets that they're really weaving into this story, and a lot in the background that you can see, and just how they're, again, like, I'm trying to remember all that she pointed out, but a lot to do with the elements and how they were used in the movie.
I'm gonna pull up a picture of the Hashira. There, that's a good one. Let's see. Share. Let me get a boom. Okay, they are. Why is that not bigger? I need to.
Man.
Give me a sec. I'd be able to click on this tab and then use my computer skills to make that. Okay. So can I click off of it so it's not? Of course.
Zoom over to the other one, or
I know. Okay. So like
they're a very colorful bunch.
Yeah. A lot of scars. I feel like there's a really big theme of, I would imagine underneath your characters, Erik, you're hiding something that's less than ideal in a physical appearance.
Maybe. I've got a little figure right here. I was hoping that you could like take
off the mask.
No.
They don't want you to know yet. They don't want you to know. It's but
from people who know the manga better than me, say that there's going to be
a big reveal.
Big reveals coming up with him in, like, I don't know if it's going to be season 2 or if we get I hope season 3 if we get one.
Oh, I can't imagine that this doesn't go on.
Yeah.
As long as I mean, there's so much story still to tell. And so much journey to be had. I'd be very surprised if they're like, nah, you know what, season 2 and then we're done.
Well, and even the leader of the Hashira, right? He's cannot see, horribly scarred. You look at Tanjiro, one of the big defining factors of Tanjiro is the scar. Yeah.
Right.
And the same is true, like the Hashira, this dude who looks like he's stitched together, that attacks Nezuko, right, is horribly disfigured, essentially. Yeah. So I feel like what's what is being presented to us is we're both seeing how vulnerable and how powerful they are at the same time, and,
Right.
and they're kind of asking the audience to kind of re-examine what we think we're capable of, and that even if you're born with something congenital, even if something happens to you in your life, that the person that you thought you were gets taken from you, that's not the end of your story. Mark, you tell me.
I think I guess I remember my first encounter watching through the series, and when we finally got to the episode where all the Hashira are kind of collected.
Yeah.
I remember like ending that episode and being like, oh my gosh, this is like clown college, was my first thought. Because I was like, these people are so, it looked like a dysfunctional, crazy family where everyone had extremely strong opinions, extremely specific reactions. But thinking back on it too, especially with what you were saying about how it highlights how eccentricity is like a powerful thing, and how the diversity of someone's experience and perspective can be a gateway to accessing something fantastic, really lands with each of them. They seem to be, it's funny because I don't want to call them one-dimensional, but they seem to very much tilt into a very specific dimension. They are multifaceted characters, but they certainly carry with them a bold embodiment of a specific thing. To say flame fits Rengoku is like, it's 100% appropriate. The love Hashira, to like that sort of like a capability to see love and infatuation within everything, or like the mist Hashira with like kind of just being drawn one way or another. It seems just like the full on realization of that particular way of being. But when they fully give over to that eccentricity, as you said, they do attain this crazy power that is unmatched. And I guess the other thing that I was saying with, I didn't necessarily, I don't know the specifics of the imagery. Like you said, your girlfriend was picking up on, Eric.
Yeah.
We'd love to know more about that. But I keep thinking to the scene in Mugen Train where Rengoku starts to explain the sort of circle of interconnectedness. And they show it for like a hot second. And I kind of want to like linger on it for a bit as like a roadmap, because they show the different elements and then they show different branches off of them. But it suggests this sort of interconnectivity of all of these different facets of what it is to be a human, and almost like where we can find ourselves in this great map of this great emotional map, and each thing having its worth and having its place in the puzzle. I don't know. That definitely seems like something they are tilting at and needing all of them to succeed. I like the idea that they hint at where Tanjiro seems to be a blend of things too. He seems to be a blend of that experience, suggesting that there is more, there is a more dimension to accessing that power too.
It was, that's that scene that you brought up where everybody's kind of lined up and they all kind of weigh in on whether they think, Nezuko needs to be immediately murdered and eliminated from existence. It's incredible to see. They each have to come to terms with this whole time. They thought they had this one mission, and they thought it was so very clear and distinct, and they knew who they were. And then all of a sudden, the leader goes, I'm going to take I want everyone to tell me what you think, and shows no signs of wanting to get rid of this girl at all, and also doesn't make up anyone's mind for them, which I thought was really right. It was so
allows it to play out.
And a lot of that is he knows demons well enough to know that they can push pretty hard on Nezuko without her dying. And each of the Hashira knows the demon race, knows the demon properties enough. They also know, and they're not quite sure. You know, like any one of them, their first strike could have been the fatal one. But instead, they almost are testing each other. Like, man, there's just so much discovery. Eric, what were your thoughts when they dragged Nezuko out there? In terms of like, did you wish or hope your character would go one way or the other? Like, what were you thinking in the booth when?
I'm trying to remember because it was like, oh man, a while ago.
It was a minute ago. Yeah,
it was a minute ago, and we had a really quick session. I just remember, God.
We can go to the movie if the
movie was a bit more fresh, but I really only had one line in the movie as Iguro at the end. But I did get like snuck in as another character in there.
But meaning when you see that that moment, right? And Rengoku kind of has to decide in real time, like who he is, what he's willing to give up. It was
tense. It was. I can tell you, it was tense.
Right?
Yeah, and I was just. I mean, I had the lines in front of me, and so I had a little bit of an idea of what my character was thinking in that moment, even before like we got to them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just sitting there in the booth, just like, are these the lines I'm going to have to say? Like, how am I going to, like, I need to see exactly how this is going to play out. So I know I need to know how I'm going to be able to say this line with what I'm seeing going on right now.
Yeah.
I remember because he was a little calm. Iguro was a bit calm in that moment, but he was, I'm trying to remember the whole scene. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I watched the show. Like it was like when it first came out. And the mood control.
For God's sake.
Yeah. I mean,
are you talking about the scene? Yeah, that.
Yeah. Like this scene here, like he's just. I remember this particular scene more vividly, where he's looking at Tomioka, just like trying to decide Tomioka's fate, thinking about like, oh well, you know, he's done just as bad, and why isn't he restrained? Just the sight of him just being there makes me sick.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just excited to explore more of Iguro. We haven't had a lot of him yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure you've seen the fan art and the imagery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a lot of spoilers from a lot of that going ahead. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
How do you take Tomioka, Eric, as Eric rather than your, like, are you a fan? Are you where does Eric sit with Tomioka? Are you siding with your Hashira, or are you like
I gotta side with Tomioka, if only because Johnny voices.
I love Johnny.
If only because of that. Johnny's been like one of the first people I ever met in this industry, like even before I moved down to California long ago, and I'm just like, it's nice that we get to be able to do something again.
Yeah, I love Tomioka.
So I'm just like, you know what? I'll spare him for now, just so we can have some more.
Some of this later. I both love rules and want to destroy all bad rules. Like that's part of my, like how I move myself through the world is I keep, man.
And I can respect that. I can respect the kind of, I don't know, would that be kind of chaotic neutral aspect of it?
Do either of you guys watch, oh my gosh. Why Atypical? Is anyone watching Atypical on Netflix?
No, I haven't.
My wife read an article last year that was super helpful in trying to interact with our son who's on the spectrum and kind of, but in reading it was like, hey, Brad, I may have some answers for why you're such an individual person. And so it's been neat to kind of see the awakening of understanding neurodiverse people. And so this show called Atypical is about Sam, who's on the autistic spectrum. And he's the focus of the series. And then you get to meet other characters who are also autistic, but different from Sam. But one of the tenets of successfully navigating or to the best of your ability navigating autism is the rules, the necessity, the need for rules to be able to contextualize what happens around you. And I very much I just absolutely love rules. And as soon as Sam said that in a couple different episodes, he explicitly said, I love rules. But then at the same time, a bad rule should be absolutely, like, you think about women's right to vote. You think about what originally a black person is counted as 1/5 of a person in the United States, and constitutional amendments. Rules are and that's what we're getting when all the Hashira get brought together. They're all told to reevaluate in real time these things that they've come to believe are now, everything's up for discussion. Kill all demons. Oh, but wait, now it's not black and white anymore. Now here's a demon who absolutely doesn't follow the rules. And then you get Tanjiro, who's praying for the souls of demons that he's slaying, who's more like an usher into the next life than he is an executioner. I don't know. What do you think, Mark? You have such an amazing moment where Rengoku decides that his existence is worth the attempt to eliminate this demon. What do you think?
The attempt to eliminate
the demon. Well, because the demon that you take on, he wins and you get your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
So like, but in that moment, I felt like Rengoku consciously decided that it was worth the risk. It was worth the opportunity to eliminate that demon from the world.
I think in a way, well, actually, it's interesting. I had a little bit of a different read on it myself.
No, go.
Although I do want to say too, because I know John Knight said in the comments, he put in yomoyada, and asking about meeting Satoshi Hino, which I have not met Mr. Hino. Actually, I would love to one day. I only did a little promotion where we got to kind of like send in some videos where we spoke across to each other. But I love what he does and his performance. I have indeed watched the sub as well, and man, I think he is astounding, and he was a wonderful guide, as are so many of the Japanese VAs when we're doing this work. They're killer, and like having those performances there is a blessing. It's crucial to be able to kind of like dig into the part in that way. And I can only hope that I'm doing some justice to the performance that Mr. Hino laid down, because it was really a pleasure.
You get to cheat a little, right? Because the English dub is essentially a language translation. You get to see. How do you have a specific feeling, Mark, in your process when you go and you watch the sub? Are you like, I'm gonna try to bring the same feel, or do you say, "Oh, I really love this," but how tangent do you come to the performance?
I default to trying to keeping in mind that establishment of it is the guide, and I start there, because also that not only is it just their interpretation, but it's also that director, producer. The entire thing is composed around this original performance. And I think that goes anyway with dub, is that it's not just Mr. Hino behind it. It's the entire
director, the engineer.
And so I always trust that first.
Very cool.
When we are told to kind of like diverge, because obviously you're right, there is translation and and
localization too.
Localization, it doesn't. There's the technical component. There is the comprehension component. There is the cultural scanning of language. So it makes sense. So those are things that I take into account after the fact, and with also the cues of our own directors, and then the production team behind this, which was a big thing going through the movie like this. And I'm trying to round back to your point about Rengoku's decision to stand up to Akaza in that moment. And I find that it really like I think that in that moment, he lets go of the idea that he is going to necessarily succeed. His mission is protection. He is going to succeed in protecting and not allowing anyone to die, not allowing anyone to get hurt.
Yeah.
And that is worth it to him. Human life is worth it to him. The furthering of that human spirit and hope and idea, the protection of the younger generation, that's all that plays into it. I'm almost half convinced that Rengoku knows that he's going to die, and he is throwing himself on the sword to save the next generation. Not, you know, I think that he is giving it all that he can, but it's not necessarily, I don't know if it's one of those things where it seems very much like a giving over of himself, like in that way, where it's not his goal to necessarily succeed and kill Akaza. Mm-hmm. It is to stop the harm from coming to the people that matter and from people in general. And to that end, he steps up to the plate and never gives up, even when it's clear, as Akaza tells him time and time again, he's like, you're going to die if you continue to do this. It's a really interesting fight in that the demon is so impressed with Rengoku that he's asking him, like, come, like, live forever. Don't die. Go take who you are. And it's such a beautiful, like he's offered salvation. He's offered a way out. He's offered glory. He's offered all of these things, immortality. He's offered the idea. He's like, you're going to waste all your sword skills. Aren't you concerned about that? And he's like, no, I'm not. There's something important to me.
Yeah.
There's something important to all of us that because of the contortion of your mind of being of having become a demon, which I love that the demons have dimension to them too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But their minds are like clouded in these moments of the demonic embrace. And it's really neat that he, in spite of all that, he's like, I see those rewards. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's not what life is about. That's not what humanity's about. Yeah. It's about this, and I know it to be true, and I'm gonna even die for it. And I love that so much. And I just saw this comment from WST21. I did not know that they played that in front of Natsuki Hanai and Satoshi Hino. That's amazing. That makes my day so much.
Erik, what do you?
So much respect for the Japanese production team on this, and to hear that is I thank you.
Erik, what was your journey like as a viewer? You and your girlfriend went to go see the movie. Like, what was that like to see it so real, so large, so loud?
It was incredible. Again, it was our first movie experience in over a year together. So she hadn't seen the rest of the series.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the knowledge of it from working on it and from like watching it like once when it first came out.
Yeah.
But we both went in kind of, for the most part, blind, and her a little bit more than me. And we were just floored by it. It was just a beautiful journey. Just again, being able to pick out a lot of the symbology about the dreamscapes, about the. Again, I mentioned the whole Jungian psychology thing, where it was about. I think, and I'm butchering this idea of his. It's nowhere near the right. But there's the idea of the self in three parts, where it's what you are, what you present yourself to the world, and what you believe yourself to be. And between what you believe yourself to be and what you present to the world is the shadow. And I believe that's kind of what they were touching upon in that little dreamscape area where, Tanjiro had that calmness to him.
Yep.
And like Rengoku had all the fire in him there. It was like in between, like, I'm trying to remember. Again, I'm butchering the idea. I haven't read Young in a hot minute.
I'm trying to come up with like a, here we go.
I'm trying to process it myself. Like,
Here we go. Let's do
you
it.
believe yourself to be what you project to the world, and there's a shadow in between.
Yeah,
Well,
so there we go. The persona,
there's-
the anima, the shadow, and the self.
Yeah, it's between not what you project to the world and what you are, but what you are and what you believe yourself to be.
Mhm.
So there's a space in between there called the shadow, your unresolved anxieties and tensions and insecurities and fears, and the ones that are kind of subconscious to you.
Mhm.
And we see in their shadow self, there's calmness in Tanjiro, there's still fire in Rengoku.
Yep. It's really we started out. I'm sure Eov watched it first. Eov is my third, and he is the most like me, the most out loud, energetic, fiery little dude. He does a lot of shows with me. He usually mods for Colorworld. He would be here, except he went on a camp out last night, and I guess got back and didn't feel like going to work as soon as he got back. And then he was so touched by it that he tells his older brother, "Hey man, you got to go watch this." And then my fourth one was like talking with Rachel about it, like, "Oh, it's too young. You're gonna get nightmares if you watch Demons." But the more I watched it, and the more I saw Bea in Nezuko and Novin in Zenitsu and me and Inosuke and Eov and Tanjiro, I was like, that's it. We'll watch it during the daylight. We'll watch it with the lights on. We'll watch it in the in the safety of the sunlight. And she instantly was seeing the same things that I was seeing, even at 10 years old, and was really touched by how much Tanjiro loves Nezuko, and just like we both just cried. We just cried when Nezuko saves Tanjiro and does her blood demon art for the first time, and it's just such an unbelievable layered presentation of humanity. That Rengoku was just such a it was beautiful and heartbreaking. I was begging. I was like, man, I hope nobody asks me about this movie. After I was so ticked, I was so upset, I was so heartbroken. I was like, I hate this movie. It took away all my hope that the Demon Slayers could win. It's all gone. He just whooped a Hashira's ass. Inosuke was so scared he wouldn't even enter the fight. Zenitsu was completely helpless. Tanjiro is crushed. I thought when he launched the sword, I thought, oh my gosh, thank you. And then the demon just runs off with the sword. And I was like, it's over. We're all going to die. The are going to kill all of us, and nobody will be left. And all the Hashira are useless. Who the heck is this little bitch who just died in the first movie? Why is this over? This is the worst. Yeah, it was pretty, it was a roller coaster, Mark.
Yeah. You're coming back for the subsequent seasons, right? I'm
gonna watch. I'm gonna watch. I'm praying that I'm so wrong, because if we go further into despair, I don't know, bro. I'm
probably not gonna imagine that there's happy times fully to come, but maybe something better.
I feel like we're gonna lose several more Hashira before there's any hope. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know.
Yeah, there's
look at Erik.
Oof, there's some big emotions right there. Big emotions.
Yeah, I don't think it's almost Demon Slayer almost doesn't feel like entertainment as much as it feels like required viewing. like humanity needs to watch this.
I love it. I right off the bat, I think it had me sold when Tanjiro is just lost his whole family.
Yeah.
First episode. First, just one of these.
Yeah,
first episode.
All dead.
And he's there with Tomioka, and Tomioka turns around to this kid who's just like had tragedy befall him, and he's like, maybe if you stopped whining and picked yourself up and did something about it,
your family wouldn't be dead.
And I was like,
Jesus. Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh, so this is about like, you know what? World's got you down. Get up, get back up.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna wait for you. And I even love like some of Rengoku's lines. I know that it changed in the translation, but he's like, I know in some of the original Japanese, gosh, I can't remember now exactly how we changed it, but it was like, no matter how useless or weak you are, like he's even calling out, no matter how useless you are, how weak you are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's harsh language. But at the same time, on the other end of that language is that you can and you should, and because that's important. It's like, and I love that Demon Slayer doesn't pull its punches or its slashes with that. And it's very much like another thing that Rengoku says, I think is also like harsh, but something that I want to like hear on my alarm clock every morning, where it's like the flow of time does not wait for you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't wait for anyone.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, and this is not to say like bottle up your emotions, don't feel bad or anything, but it is to say that like you also on the other end of that march forward, you continue on, you keep that spirit, you know, and it's very like tough love and life lessons.
Yeah. I need to buy a personalized message from you and then gift it back to you so that you could have Rengoku tell you that you're, can
we make Rengoku alarm clocks and I'll up with motivational messages?
I was starting to believe they could do it, Mark. I was starting to believe, and then like little bitches, they all got destroyed, and they watched Rengoku bleed away into oblivion, and the demon run off with Tanjiro's new sword. Like, oh man!
Right. Good morning. Quit your whining.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're dead. You're going to die. That's not tasty. Yeah.
Don't make my life be in vain. Oh gosh, I'm about to. Is it okay if I say something else that's like terribly more deep-ish as well?
I haven't left much unturned, Mark. You go right ahead and break as many hearts as you like.
This is kind of like it is Demon Slayer as well, but it reminded me of this thing that often gets said about those in Sammy, what's up? Those in our military service. And I was in Hawaii recently, and I got to visit Pearl Harbor. And just for people who like dedicate their lives in defense of the nation, in defense of others. And I had never joined the service. Some folks in my dad was a part, but I never had. And one of the questions that always arose was that like, I feel guilty that I never stood up to be in that service, to my nation, to my fellow, countrymen.
Yep.
And one of the things was that it's more that like I'm going to butcher this, but it's make their sacrifices, live like their sacrifices matter. That's your service.
Yeah.
To people who give everything.
Yep.
And it's one of those things to like go live your life so that my sacrifice isn't for nothing. Yeah. And that's what we need to do. You know, it's like, and that just with Rengoku's death and them like kind of crying, it's like, I know that the lesson that they're taking out of it, or that I hope they take out of it, is that like, we can't let that be in vain. Yeah. We can't let the sacrifices of people who stand up for us be in vain. We have to live like, you know, live with that gift that they've given us. Yep. So
no, you're right. We need to fight for those who don't look like us. We need to fight for those who, you know, all that was over. You know, I'm 41, but all of the honorable fighting was essentially over by the time I'm, you know, eligible for military service. And you know, there's, serving your country in this day and age, and regardless of the country, it doesn't matter if it's U.S., if it's Canada, if it's England, it doesn't matter if it's Russia, if it's Germany, if it's Japan. Japan anyway. It's all so complicated. There are some really touching stories that come out of World War II about people on opposing sides running into each other and having a really human moment, and both people living through it. And what I love about Demon Slayer, I love about that moment with the Hashira, is there's just more, and that the rules are the rules until they're up for review. And my hope with this anime is that the good people of the world watch Demon Slayer, and they put some of their own rules up for review. You know, we decide that Nezuko is worth it, that Nezuko should live, and that there's something redeemable in Nezuko that we should all fight for. That's just
I love that.
You guys, I'm so thank you so much for indulging me on Kuroko's. I love it so much. Erik, I was so sad you were busy during the Kuroko's event. And sorry. The more I watched, the more I loved it. The more I loved everything you did. Mark, what a pleasure. You ripped the hearts out of a lot of people. world and all the English speaking world had their hearts obliterated by your performance.
And I gotta say this, it wasn't when because I remember this very funny moment when they first posted the trailer that introduced all of us, and I don't know if you remember this, Mark. Like the screenshot of the trailer, the thumbnail was Rengoku. Yeah. And it was, for some reason, it wasn't a still shot, but it was like between frames, so it looked like Rengoku was speeding, like shaking back and forth or something. So that was like my first. I didn't even watch Demon Slayer at that point, so that was my first time seeing your character. And I'm just like, what the heck
is coming?
We had to fix the thumbnail later. I can't. I want to find a screenshot of it somewhere if anybody took it. But
please do.
Nice.
But then, yeah, like I saw that. I heard everybody in there. I was so excited to be a part of that group of people. Just this powerhouse of voice actors, all in this awesome group that we get to see a lot more of, I hope, in season 2 to come.
Yep.
I know it.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, chat. Please take the opportunity to go get a hangout with these gentlemen. They are spectacular. There's so much more than we're even able to cover. Yeah, and definitely go freaking see Erik live at Wrestling Pro Wrestling. Drive, fly, get on a train, do whatever you have to do to watch it.
In Burbank on July 30th, but we should be streaming the following Wednesday on their Twitch and YouTube.
Good. Fantastic. Awesome. Mark, what's your next upcoming project?
My next upcoming. You asked that of a voice actor?
I mean, whatever's out of NDA.
Yeah, what can
whatever,
we talk
whatever
about?
you
NDAs. I mean, recently was Genshin and Kazuha, which I love Kazuha so much, and I hope everyone else got. There's like a day left on his banner or something.
Okay, well there we go. So there we go.
That and then NDAs I'll announce to come.
All right.
So at cons too. I'm going to be in Dallas on the 13th to the 15th for WeebCon, and then I'm also going to be at PucciCon in Atlantic City.
Okay, and then I'm going to put Mark's Twitter in chat. So go follow Mark so that when he makes his way close to your city, you can drive, fly, swim the Hudson River, whatever you need to do to go meet Mark in person. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us on this panel. We'll see the next panel. You do not want to miss one more Demon Slayer panel, and then go get a hangout with these